Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. And boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Brian Norman Jr., he called them out, and they running from him. Now, there's somebody in particular, old Devin Haney. Word on the street is, Devin Haney and old Bill Haney were considering pursuing a fight with Brian Norman Jr. Well, I have a feeling that we're going to get crickets now, because after what Brian Norman Jr. did out there to Jen Sasaki, bringing the Tokyo Storm to Japan, I just don't think anybody is going to be in a rush to get in that ring with Brian Norman Jr. I think old Devin Haney put his hands in his pockets, and he gonna walk the opposite direction. Cause ain't no way in the world you can make me believe this Devin Haney is gonna run head first into a crash-up with Brian Norman Jr. It's not going to happen. Now, what I do think Devin will do is he'll look at one of those vacant. He'll try, like Jerron Ennis is dropping the WBA and the IBF. So Devin may look to fight, try to get a fight with either Rolly or someone else. He gonna try to finagle a way to get a belt or get an interim belt. He gonna try to finagle a way to say that he's a three different weight division champion, or 3-division champion. That's what he's going to try to do. But I'm just telling you, although Haney is a master of distance, timing, control, I'll say this, and I'm being as fair as I can to Devin Haney, because I do think Devin Haney can fight. I just think he gets destroyed by Brian Norman Jr. Devin, you thought that Ryan Garcia did Devin Haney dirty. This shit at 147 against Brian Norman Jr., Devin Haney would get his ass destroyed. Now, see, Devin is used to having a reach advantage, and he stays behind that stick. You take a look at when he fought Linares, they were pretty similarly matched as far as the style, size, reach. But Linares was able to get to him. But you look at mostly all the other fighters, Devin Haney was able to kind of have his way, because he, is much bigger, longer arms. It's just weight bullying cats. But he's a smart fighter, had all the advantages, reach, just overall size had the advantages. Even when he fought Lomachenko, we all know Lomachenko's a much better high IQ than Devin Haney. But, Devin was able to get away with some things just because of his great footwork and his reach. But then Lomachenko started, figuring all that out and started, hitting Devin with them bing bings. But long story short, the distance, the timing, the control. But what about the mentality of Devin Haney right now? You can't make me believe that Devin, with what he experienced with Ryan Garcia, and again, I'm going to say Ryan was wrong for what he did to him, but still, what he experienced with Ryan Garcia, you can't make me believe that Devin is sitting back watching Brian Norman Jr. knock out Santillan, knock out the Puerto Rican fighter, then knock out cold Jen Sasaki, that Devin is in a rush to go into a fight with Brian Norman Jr. Not when you're still dealing with questions about your own chin, about your own grit, questions about your confidence, not having the self-belief. You just don't pursue a fight with Brian Norman Jr. No matter how slick he is, defensively sound, the bottom line is Devin Haney, when he's in a ring, he normally doesn't take a lot of risk. unless he is having his way, he gets an opponent to where they're not really letting their hands go. He'll open up more. You'll see Devin start to pull more tools out the toolbox, and go for the and try to go for the knockout. But for the most part, he's a safety first fighter, defensive first fighter, and I just think with Devin Haney right now, I guess it's still a little premature to say, but you can't make me believe the way he looked against Ramirez, even though he was just trying to get the victory to get the rematch with Ryan Garcia. You can't make me believe that Devin Haney will get in the ring with Brian Norman Jr. and fight any different. I actually think Devin would lose. I think he looked like Ryan Garcia against Rolly Romero. As soon as he got hit and hurt, especially if he gets knocked down, I think he gets on his bicycle. And I'm just being honest with you. And the reason I say that, for those who are thinking that Brian Norman Jr. won't be able to catch up to Devin, look, Brian Norman Jr. is very raw and unpredictable. Watch him in the ring. He's cool as a cucumber. Staying calm, staying composed. And shots are coming out of nowhere. And he's got power, man. That Joker's got some power. He sets traps. He walks you down. And then next thing you know, there's a mash-up, crash-up that took place, and you got the worst end of it. And there aren't many fighters who thrive in chaos the way Brian Norman Jr. does. He likes that. You watch him in all three fights. He likes when someone is stepping to him. I watch him off the ropes, fighting off the ropes, and he's like Terrence Crawford, using his eyes. He sees everything. He'll look and see the shot coming, and take the shot and get back to work. There aren't too many fighters who can do that. You know how hard it is to just sit there in a firestorm and to stay calm and cool and still see all the punches coming and still get yours off and make sure you get that person may have thrown more punches, but you got the best of the exchange, because although you were economical in your punch output. And power and physicality, man, Haney, look, he got respectable pop, but he ain't running around here like Norman Jr. with a 78% KO ratio. I mean, that KO ratio is for a reason. He's knocking people out with the left hand and the right hand. He ain't Caleb Plant. That's a one-handed fighter. He ain't Shakur Stevenson, who's a one-handed fighter. He knock you out with that left hand, he'll knock you out with that right hand. He's ambidextrous when it comes to that power. So it's just all bad for Devin Haney, man. So to me, I got Norman Jr. by a mile if he and Devin Haney were to fight, man. You know what I'm saying? You just, like a guy like Devin Haney, it doesn't matter how composed and calculated he's trying to be. If he were to get in a high-risk fight like Brian Norman Jr., you just can't make me believe he's going to take risk inside the ring. You know what I'm saying? He's going to try to coochie-coo, chicken peck his way, or tickle his way to a victory. And I just don't think it's going to happen, man. Brian Norman Jr. is a stark contrast to Devin Haney. Devin fears. Brian Norman Jr. is fearless. And then you look at the emotions. Devin is super emotional. Brian Norman Jr. lacks emotion. And then as far as the underdog, Devin has been used to being the favorite. Norman Jr. is used to being the underdog. So Norman Jr. carries that chip on his shoulder, and he fights that way. Like, y'all gonna see. He didn't have the red carpet rolled out for him. He's been having to earn it, and that makes a big difference. Big difference, man. So, yeah, he wants that smoke, and he wants to fight everybody, but I'm telling you, them call-outs going to be getting ignored with a dog mentality that he's showing. I'm telling you, people are looking at it saying, I need to avoid this. Although he has a title, they're going to try to figure out a way to pick up one of the other three because they ain't going to try to go through him. I think he's going to have a tough time getting fights at 147 pounds. But the bottom line is, Devin Haney, 135, went to 140. Now he's kind of in no man's land, 144, 145, 147. He don't know where he wants to be. But I just think the power and physicality of a guy like Brian Norman Jr., man, I just think it'll overwhelm him because I don't think Devin Haney will be able to keep him off of him. I don't. So if Haney can control the pace and avoid exchanges, he could win a decision. But if Norman Jr. gets on the inside and, even from the outside, if he can start landing them shots, and he's so damn fast, his hands are fast too. He throws combinations. I'm just telling you, he can make it ugly. He's going to break Haney down. Yeah, I think he knocks him out. But I just think with Haney is more like a chess match, you know what I'm saying? And then with Brian Norman Jr. is just like a huge surge of a storm coming at you. And you know it's coming. And boy, when it hits you, you like, holy shit. And there's nothing you can do. You just end up getting consumed. Anyway, y'all keep cool. I got Brian Norman Jr. over Devin Haney easy. I think it's a no-brainer. But as far as the Devin Haney fans out there saying, man, Brian Norman Jr. hasn't fought anybody, Devin Haney's proven. Look at what he did to Regis. Regis was known for knocking people out. Now you're going to sit here and say that Devin, the way he made Regis look stupid, that Devin doesn't have a chance against Brian Norman Jr.? Hey, yo, McNicholas, hold your horses and stop taking it to the stupid. How dare you compare Regis Prograis to Brian Norman Jr.? First, Regis was way smaller than Devin. Devin had like a 6-7 inch reach advantage. You know what I'm saying? Regis looked crazy when he fought Zorrilla in a fight he really lost. That's why Devin and his dad went buck wild to fight Regis, because they knew Regis is slipping. And that's why they wanted to fight him. They knew Devin had every advantage. It was basically a way to cherry pick a belt off of Regis, who they knew they could beat. Zorrilla, basically, he's not as good of a boxer as Devin. And Zorrilla he got robbed, but he beat Regis. So they knew that shit. If Zorrilla can do that, what can we do? And that's what he did. He beat Regis. But Norman Jr. and Regis, that ain't the same. Norman Jr. is getting better fight after fight. He's knocking people out fight after fight. So don't even try to compare that shit. That's the shit that be driving me crazy with some of these cats that claim they know boxing. Man, really delusional. Take the emotion away. Brian Norman Jr. is a vicious KO artist. He's at 147. Regis was at 140. Regis probably should be at 135. Regis doesn't have the footwork, doesn't have the IQ. Regis started boxing late, so there's certain things he just doesn't have the muscle memory and just doesn't do instinctively like a guy who's been fighting their whole life like Brian Norman Jr. Yo, come on, the size, everything. Anyway, yeah, Devin Haney, they better figure something else out. And you know what's funny? Devin was trying to get the T.O. fight. I respect that. I think that would have been a great fight. T.O., whatever the hell's going on with him. How Devin going out there, man, and fight Rolly? Fight Rolly. I still think he has a better chance against Rolly than Brian Norman Jr. But Brian Norman Jr. ain't no joke, man. Anyway, let's see what happens with Brian Norman Jr. at the 147-pound division. Let's see if anybody takes him up on some of these call-outs. You know what I'm saying? We know Boots ain't going to fight him. Can't really blame Boots. Boots moved up to 154. But when it comes to these other fighters at 147 pounds, let's see what happens. The IBF is vacated already. So I think the Crocker and Donovan guys are going to be fighting, but Barrios is fighting Pacquiao. Then you got Rolly out there. I just think Brian Norman Jr. is just going to get, I think he's going to end up becoming a Nowarian. You got to look at what's out there. He beat Rocha. He just beat Sasaki. He may have to go to France and fight David Papat. They got Karen Chikadzian, who already got beat by Jaron Ennis twice. Yeah, I just don't know what happens next for Brian Norman Jr., but I think he's gonna get some good money. They got. If the WBO is gonna keep him fight, if he can't get unifications, he may have to go to France and fight David Papat. He may have to fight Chikadzian. Let me show you what I'm talking about. skip this crap. What is this crap showing up here? All right. So he may have to go. He beat Roach, he beat Sasaki. David Papata is number 3. Chikazian is number 4. Esselman is number 5. Crocker is number 6. I'll keep jumping around. Anyway. Okay, here it goes. I don't know why this damn thing keeps jumping around. All right, there we go. Esselman, Crocker. Esselman just beat, I think, my boy Kavaliauskas. Polanco, Rashidi Ellis is just totally falling off. Giasov, Flaws, Josh Taylor, Santian already got clipped. Eubank Jr., Curiel, Blair Cobb's falling out. That's horrible. But bottom line is Brian Norman Jr. I think he's gonna struggle to get fights going forward. I do. I think you're gonna see him become a traveling man, having to go overseas, other people's backyards to get fights. That's what I predict. Anyway, keep cool. Devin Haney, stay away from Brian Norman Jr. You'll mess around and get killed. I'm in the breeze.